Hey guys, in this lesson we would understand how to solve inequalities. Let's first understand what is meant by inequalities. Let's say we have an equation 3x plus 4 equal to 0 when the relationship between the left and the right side is shown with the help of an equal to sign. It is called an equation. However, when the relationship between the left and the right side is shown with a greater than sign or less than sign or greater than equal to sign or less than equal to sign. So if any of these signs represent the left and the right side, then these type of statements are not called equations. These are called inequalities. Because we are doing a unit of polynomials, we would have to solve the inequalities for polynomials. Polynomials can be linear, quadratic, cubic, quartic, or more. Let's learn how to solve linear inequalities first. Linear inequalities is seen when we have a linear function on one side of the equal to sign, or when we have a linear function on both sides of the equal to sign. For example, we have a question like 3x minus 1 is less than equal to 11, and we have to solve this inequality, means we have to solve for the x value. So for all of these examples, we would be solving the inequalities. Whenever we have to solve for x value, all we have to do is just isolate x. So we would be moving everything on the other side. However, we do not have an equal to sign, we have it less than equal to sign. So 3x would be less than equal to 11 plus 1, which is 3x is less than equal to 12, and this would give us x is less than equal to 12 divided by 3, which is 4. If we are asked to represent the solution on a number line, because x is not just equal to 4, x is any value that is less than and equal to 4. So if this is a 0 on the number line and this is 4, we mark 4 with a solid circle, and on the number line we represent everything less than 4 with the help of this arrow, would give us a solution for linear inequality. Let's take up an example where we have linear functions on both the left and the right side of the inequality. The question is 2x plus 1 is less than 5x minus 2. When we have to solve for x, we will collect the like terms. So we will move 5x on this side and we can move 1 on the other side, so that we get 2x minus 5x less than minus 2 minus 1. This would give us negative 3x less than negative 3. Now, one important thing that is very crucial to remember is, because whenever we have to isolate x and there is a number attached to x, we move this number on the other side by dividing the other side with this number. So when we divide, in this case, negative 3 with this negative 3, the sign here is negative. Because of this sign, the inequality sign would flip. So it was first less than sign, now it has become greater than sign. This happens when we divide or multiply the other side with a negative number. So now the solution is x is greater than 1. If we are asked to plot the solution on a number line, let's say this is 0, this is 1. Because it is not equal to 1 and it's just greater than 1, so we will make a hollow circle on 1 and it's greater than, so we'll mark the number line from 1 to the right side. This is how we solve the linear inequality when we have both the linear function on the left and the right side of the inequality. Now let's take an example of a double linear inequality. What does that mean is, double inequality means when we have two inequality signs, so they'll be seen three functions in the double inequality. If we have to solve for x or any unknown variable in double inequality, the simplest way is we can split this double inequality to single inequality. So what we can do is we can write this separately and then we can write this separately, solve them first and write down the solutions together. So the first inequality will be negative 6x less than equal to x plus 4, and the second inequality is x plus 4 is less than 12. Here we would move x on this side, so we would be left with negative 6x minus x less than equal to 4. This would give us a negative 7x less than equal to 4. Now point here to be noted is we are going to be dividing 4 with a negative 7. So this sign would flip and one solution would be x is greater than equal to negative 4 over 7. Let's solve the second inequality. So here is x is less than 12 minus 4, where x is less than 8. We can rewrite the solution as x is greater than or equal to -4/7. Therefore, the final solution would be x is greater than or equal to -4/7 and less than 8. So this is how we write on the final solution for double inequality. So these were all the examples of solving linear inequalities, be it single or double inequality. Let's understand how to solve a polynomial inequality where the function is not linear. We'll take an example of a cubic polynomial inequality. And the example is x cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 20 is greater than or equal to 2x squared plus 14x minus 16. And we're supposed to solve this inequality. Whenever we have to solve any equation or any inequality, the first step is that the right side should be equal to 0. This is specifically for polynomial inequalities or equations that have degree 2 or higher. So rules for solving polynomial inequalities or equations with degree 2 or higher, step 1 is make one side equal to 0. How do we make one side equal to 0? As we move everything on one of the sides, either right side or left side, move to the other side. And this is how it would look like. X cubed minus 2x squared plus 5x plus 20 minus 2x squared minus 14x plus 16 is greater than or equal to 0. Step 2 is we factor the polynomial after we collect the like terms. When we say collecting like terms, we also have to simplify the equation. So we factor the polynomial after collecting like terms and simplifying the equation. So here we have x cubed all by itself. We do not have any cube on any other term. We can write on x cubed as is. Negative 2x squared would give us negative 4x squared. Positive 5x minus 14x gives us a negative 9x. And then plus 20 plus 16 would give us a plus 36. This whole thing would be greater than or equal to 0. Now we would factor this cubic polynomial function. So we would first use the factor theorem to find out the first factor of this function using the factors of 36. You know, factors of 36 are plus minus 1, plus minus 2, plus minus 3, plus minus 4, plus minus 6, plus minus 9. When we check these factors one by one, plus minus 1, plus minus 2, we would see that one of the factors that would make this function 0 is a plus 3. We can check that here. So if we put in 3 here, you see we get values that get cancelled out to give us a 0. That means x equal to 3 is the first factor. We can use this factor with these coefficients and undergo synthetic division to get the rest of the factors. We have 1, negative 4, negative 9, 36. We bring down the first number as is. 3 times 1 is 3. When we add this up, we get a negative 1. 3 times negative 1 is a negative 3. When we add this up, we get a negative 12. 3 times negative 12 is a negative 36, and that would give us a 0. So the quotient that we get is 1x squared minus 1x minus 12. The divisor, which is also called the factor, would be x minus 3. This is the quotient. So this function can be written as x minus 3, x squared minus x minus 12. That's from here. And when we factor this, we see this is a trinomial that can be factored out because the product of negative 12 can give us the sum of negative 1 by using negative 4 and positive 3. So the factors we would get is x minus 4, x plus 3 greater than or equal to 0. Now up till factoring, we have been practicing a lot, like how to factor. So we know what to do in order to factorize a polynomial expression. If we are asked to solve for an equation, then we know we have to first change it to factored form and then put each of the factors equal to 0 and solve for x. However, if the question is an inequality, then we do not put each of the factors with the inequality to solve for x. Then we do something different, and that different thing here is we create an interval table. To create interval tables, we first need the roots or the x-intercepts from these factors. We know the x-intercepts are negative 3, positive 3, and positive 4. We put these x-intercepts or roots on a number line. So here is negative 3, here is positive 3, here is positive 4. And we pick up the intervals to put into the interval table. Now how do we select the intervals is, roots are going to represent the interval change points. So the first interval is going to be from negative infinity to negative 3. Next interval is going to be from negative 3 to positive 3. After that is positive 3 to positive 4. And the last interval is positive 4 to positive infinity. And this is how we create a table. So the first column, we would put in all the factors that we have obtained. The first factor that we obtained was x minus 3. Then it was x minus 4. And then it was x plus 3. And the last row is going to represent the entire function. This function is nothing but the product of these three factors, because when we multiply these three factors, we would be able to get back the original function that we started with. And here we would write down the intervals. The first interval is negative infinity to negative 3. Next we have is negative 3 to positive 3. Next we have is positive 3 to positive 4. And the last interval is positive 4 to positive infinity. In order to fill this table up, what we have to do is we pick any number from the first interval. So if I say negative infinity to negative 3 is the first interval, we can pick any number, let's say negative 10. We know negative 10 would lie in between negative infinity to negative 3. And we put that negative 10 as x in each of these factors and find out what will be the sign of the result of each of these factors. So if we put a negative 10 here, negative 10 minus 3 is a negative 13. We just have to worry about the sign. So negative 13 means negative sign is what we have to take in the table. When we put a negative 10 here, negative 10 minus 4 is a negative 14. We are just going to take the sign. Negative 10 plus 3, negative 7. Again, we are just going to take the sign. And now the product of three negative signs will give us a negative sign for the function. Similarly, we can check for the rest of the intervals. If we have to take the value from negative 3 to positive 3, we know 0 lies in between negative 3 and positive 3, so we can put a 0 here. 0 minus 3 is negative answer, 0 minus 4 is negative, 0 plus 3 is positive. When we take the product of negative, negative and positive, the final function would be a positive function. Next is we take any number from positive 3 to positive 4. Let's say it's positive 3.5. So if you put 3.5 here, 3.5 minus 3 is a positive number. 3.5 minus 4 is a negative number. 3.5 plus 3 is a positive number. Product of positive, negative and positive is negative. Next we have 4 to positive infinity. Let's say the number is 10. So when we put a positive 10 here, 10 minus 3 is a positive number. 10 minus 4 is a 6, which is also positive. 10 plus 3 is a 13, that is also positive. Product of three positive numbers is positive again. Now this is how we get the interval table. This interval table is going to help us write our final solution. For that, we have to go back and check our question, what the question demanded from us. In the question, we see that the function has to be greater than equal to 0. Means we are looking for x values that give us a solution greater than equal to 0, or that give us a solution that is positive and equal to 0. Basically, this is what we are looking for. So what we are going to do is, we will pick up those intervals as an answer that give us a positive solution. We get a positive solution for the function from the second interval as well as from the fourth interval. The ones with negative result, we are going to rule those options out. So the solution for x will be that x belongs to the interval negative 3 to positive 3 and x belongs to the interval 4 to positive infinity. That we would write down like this. So when we write down the solution as a interval notation, we put negative 3 to positive 3 and, because there are two solutions, positive 4 to positive infinity. So this is how we write our solution. However, this solution is still not correct. Let's go back to the question and see why. The question wanted us to find out those values of x that give us a positive solution and that give us an equal to 0 solution. So positive solution we have already figured out. How about equal to 0 solution? Always remember, equal to 0 solutions are going to be given by the x-intercepts or roots. That is negative 3, positive 3 and positive 4. And how do we show this in our solution is, so what we do is, in order to include negative 3, positive 3 and positive 4 as a solution, we would put square brackets around these roots. We do not put a square bracket around infinity because we do not know what value of infinity is going to give us the solution up till. So for infinity, we always put a simple bracket. However, for the roots, we put square brackets if there is an equal to sign along with the inequality. To conclude it, let's understand how is this type of inequality different from this type of inequality sign when it comes to writing solutions. We know the solution is -3 to +3 and 4 to positive infinity. Here also the solution stays the same because the factors are same, -3 to +3 and 4 to positive infinity. Here we don't have an equal to sign along with the inequality, so this is the correct way of writing the solution. We put everything with simple brackets. If we have an equal to sign, then we put square brackets around the roots. So the root values are -3, +3 and 4. Equal to sign means the entire interval is included as a solution along with the zeros. And the zeros or the x-intercepts or the roots are -3, +3 and 4. And this is how we solve any type of polynomial inequality following the steps that we have just completed.